Sibel Edmonds attained notoriety shortly after the Trade Center attacks as an FBI whistleblower. She had a good look at the inner workings of the U.S. state apparatus working as an FBI translator. Since her firing in March of 2002, she has disclosed revelations of blackmail, bribery, espionage, infiltration, and criminal conspiracy by current and former members of the U.S. Congress, as well as high-ranking State and Defense Department officials and agents of the government of Turkey. Her insights are unique but rarely reported outside independent media circles, and for good reason. With the anniversary of 9/11 looming, we decided to contact Miss Edmonds and get her insights into her own background, her disclosures, and what they have to say about the current state of world geopolitics. The interview you are about to hear was recorded August 26th by Global Research NewsHour correspondent Jonathan Wilson.
On the Global Research NewsHour, it is Sibel Edmonds, who is the editor and publisher of the Boiling Frogs Post, founder and president of the National Security Whistleblowers Coalition, and author of the acclaimed book Classified Woman, The Sibel Edmonds Story, and The Lone Gladio, a political spy thriller. Ms. Edmonds is a certified linguist, fluent in 4 languages, and has an MA in public policy from George Mason University and a BA in criminal justice and psychology from George Washington University. She is the recipient of the 2006 Penn Newman's Own First Amendment Award. Thanks so much, Sibel, for coming on the program.
Sure. Many thanks for inviting me.
Now, first, there's so much in your story to talk about, but I first wanted to hear just about your life and what led you to be employed as a translator in the days following the 9/11 attacks.
Sure. I'm originally from Turkey, and I moved to the United States in 1988. This is where I got my college degree, my master's degree, and I never planned working for the government in any form. But in 1990s, for my university-related coursework, I wanted to have a summer internship in a division of the FBI that deals with crime against children. So at that point, I had sent them a request and filled out the forms. And of course, in the forms, there was a section that asked information about any other talents or languages spoken, etc. Anyhow, I filled out that form. I sent it to the FBI. I never heard from them. And years went by, and September 11 happened. And 3 days after September 11, I received a call from the FBI's Washington field office. This is in Washington, D.C., asking me to come and help them work on some really urgent terrorism and counterintelligence-related cases. Well, I was very surprised, and at that point in my life, I was not ready to go and work for the FBI, but they pressed the issue. They actually begged because they didn't have enough language specialists with also geostrategic information, political information, which my background provided for all that. So they said, we are even willing to have you as a contract worker, and you can determine your own hours and give us as much as you can. Our country needs you, Ms. Edmonds, et cetera, et cetera. Well, how could I have said no? I saw it as an opportunity to do something for what has been coined as national security. I'm laughing because that was a really an eye-opener experience. I was naive back then. I truly believed what majority of the people here in the United States still believes today, and that is, we don't have a perfect system, but we have this great thing called Constitution and a system of checks and balances and separation of powers. That's what I got my master's degree on. But as awful as it was, the experience, the whistleblowing, it was an eye-opener. It was like waking up from the dream, the sleep, and then seeing the realities of this nation, unfortunately, and the illusion that is being sold to the public.
Well, it's ironic that they begged you to work there, and then you end up getting fired from your position because you're speaking out about what you saw as a cover-up there. So working there for 6 months, what I guess led to your firing, for people who don't know, the important details of the story?
Sure. I mean, I have documented that in details in my book, Classified Woman, which government fought, and they said if I were to publish this book, I would go to jail. They said every single word in this book is classified, etc. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to give bullet points and summarize what took place during that short period. The division I was working for, I worked for many divisions there. I worked with counterterrorism agents in various field offices in the country, with Chicago field office, FBI's Chicago field office, counterterrorism, New Jersey field office, etc. But my main work was with the counterintelligence division, and this was a highly specialized unit in the Washington, D.C. field office that dealt with counterintelligence-related operations. And it involved other types of criminal activities done jointly, I'm saying jointly and emphasizing jointly, by both U.S. persons and also foreign individuals. And because the FBI did not have any analysts with both the language capabilities of the region, and this is Turkey and other Turkic-speaking nations. You're looking at countries in Central Asia and in Caucasus. I ended up serving as both analyst and a language specialist for this special division within the FBI's Washington, D.C. office. And that's where most of the explosive information resided, not within the counterterrorism division. Most people would think it would be counterterrorism that would have all these operations and activities under, but actually it was under counterintelligence division. And this also involved high-level U.S. individuals from Congress, from State Department, from the Pentagon, who were engaged in operations and activities that were illegal and also terrorism-related in the United States and around the world. And the agents, the FBI agents who were in charge of this unit, they all had good intention, and they were exasperated. They were trying to get these processed as current counterterrorism operations and be investigated and dealt with as such. However, they were being blocked by the State Department and CIA because those operations were sanctioned by those entities, by those agencies. Mainly, I would say, the CIA and the State Department. So they didn't go any further than just voicing exasperation. But after getting exposed to what that information was, and these files, some of them dated back to 1997. These were ongoing operations, both from the surveillance part, from the FBI's side, and also from these networks and individuals and organizations that carried out these operations that were targets of the FBI's counterintelligence investigations. So I decided to really speak up, and I didn't jump out there and go to some reporter or to a journalist. As I said, I started that work as a very naive person. So I believed in the system, and the system dictated that you take this to your superior. If it doesn't work, you take it to this department. So from there, I ended up with the FBI's own OPR department. That's the Office of Professional Responsibility. And from there, it went up to my case all the way to the director's office, and that's Director Mueller himself. And this was when I was asked to basically shut up, to hush, and not to pursue this. And that forced me to go outside the FBI and again within the government. So I went to the Inspector General's office for the Department of Justice, and I went to the appropriate committees in the Congress, both the Senate and the House, places like the Judiciary Committee, the Intelligence Committee, And from there, I ended up with the 9/11 Commission. So to make the long story short, for about a year and a half, and this includes after the time I was fired, I was working within the system trying to get these extremely, extremely dangerous, important issues addressed, made public via so-called appropriate channels. And then from there, it went to the media, which was around mid to late 2002. And yes, I was fired after 6-7 months, and then the case became a court case. My case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and during the entire process, the government stepped in, not only the FBI, but also the CIA and the State Department, and requested the courts, the judges, both for the appellate court, the lower court, and later the Supreme Court, to shut down the case and say everything about this woman, this lady, is classified. In fact, they succeeded in having the court rule for them by saying that even the languages I speak are all classified. Where I was born is classified. Where I went to school here in the United States is classified. That everything about me basically was classified. And this is the other separate branch. We are talking about the courts in the United States, the federal courts. And then after that, it was the media. So that's basically the very shallow, I guess, summary version of this case that is now almost 14 years old.
Right.